What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tears Take. I am back with a recap for the Real Housewives of Miami, Season 7, Episode 12. It's called Uncivil in Seville. This is going to be a longer form video, just going through scene by scene, at least the highlights of the episode. The last video that I did actually did a rundown of some of like my top 5 takes of each of the past few episodes. So take a look at that, watch this one, and let me know which format you prefer. Do you want something short and quick and just kind of like the main like takeaways from an episode, or do you like us walking through the whole thing and giving commentary along the way? I want to hear from you. So comment below, let me know. And if you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe, join the party. I would love to have you. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So this episode opens with, we pick up from the last episode where Larsa was talking about getting texts from Jody. So she's reading some of the texts to the girls, and Jody is trying to claim that he's trying to stop the argument between her and Lisa. And I said it before in my last recap, like, boy, bye. Stop inserting yourself in women's business. Even if you have the purest of intentions, it never comes off well. So he should have just sat there and ate his food, right? So then Lisa comes over and she asks Larsa to come back to the table because remember, she had left the table saying, Lisa always makes everything about herself. This is so annoying. I'm just going to leave. And that's when she got up. The girls followed her. And that's when she proceeded to talk about the texts. So Larsa goes back to the table. She's still complaining that Lisa ruined the vibe. And at this point, Lisa needs to be consoled. So Gertie goes to console Lisa. Lisa says she's paralyzed by this situation. I was like, okay, girl, that's a little much, but it's Lisa. All right, so back at the table, Adriana is trying to stress the importance of Lisa's legal deadline. Pretty much says like, you don't know like how these men act and like they do crazy things. And she gives Alexia an example using Todd. And, she said, for example, like Todd might do XYZ and Alexia flies off the handle. She's like, leave Todd out of this. She's yelling, acting crazy in the restaurant. I was cracking up because it was like a light switch. She was not playing with Adriana. So then back with Lisa and Gertie, Lisa is on the phone with Jody, and Jody's trying to, give her some resources on a notary, someone that can help her meet this deadline. And it's funny because right before that, we had Marisol at the table saying, why is Jody texting Larsa? He needs to be helping Lisa. And it's like, get you a man that could do both because he's up here in women's business and he's helping out Lisa. So joke's on you, Marisol. Jody's on the phone and helping her out. And as he's doing that, Gertie takes the phone and she was like, listen, like, you got to stop texting Larsa. It's not a good look. Like, no matter what you mean by it, it's not a good look. You need to cut it out right now. I was like, thank you, Gertie. Thank you, Gertie. It was straightforward. It wasn't, she didn't go behind his back. She didn't go behind Lisa's back. She went straight to him and told him what it looks like, how it's perceived, and to just cut it out. And I was like, thank you. So what is happening back at this table? So back at the table, Adriana is crying and she's like, I can't deal with this drama. It's just so much. And Larsa's annoyed by all of this because remember, she's already annoyed by Lisa's theatrics. And now you have Adriana over here like, I'm an empath. I just take on emotions. And it's like, girl, are you? But anyways, so she's like, I just can't handle all this drama. And Larsa was like, go over there in the corner. If you want to cry, go cry over there. Larsa, she's been making me laugh and making me agree with her a little too much this season. So Larsa's telling Adriana to go sit in the corner. So Lisa takes care of her emergency notary situation. She comes back to the table and asks Larsa, like, what's the problem? Larsa said that Jody's texting her, and they go back and forth, and there's really no resolve. Marisol brings up how Lisa takes notes when she's arguing with someone, and everyone kind of chimes in of like how weird that is or how strange that is. And I'm like, is it really that strange? Like, this is Housewives, you need your receipts, but all right. I guess in the moment it's strange, but like if you were to leave the argument and go home and be like, what'd she say about me? Let me keep notes. I don't think it's that strange, but maybe I'm just a weirdo. Especially in an environment like Housewives. Um, so we have weird ass Julia going around kissing everybody. I was just like, she just always needs attention. And I'm sorry, like Julia gives dirty to me. Like she is no one I would want anywhere near these lips, but y'all can go off. She even kisses Gertie. Not that gag was not for Gertie. That was for Julia. Like anyway. So then, during all of this, like Lisa's like in her seat and she's like choking back tears. Like she's just kind of like getting really choked up. So then it's the next morning. It's day 3 in Seville. Marisol, Julia, Larsa, Alexia, and Stephanie, they go to a ceramic painting place. And the other girls go to Alcazar. It's the oldest castle in Europe. And Kiki looked so good in this scene. She was chic. She looked expensive. She looked so good, so pretty. I was like, yes, ma'am. So shout out to her, even though she's been getting on my nerves. I can, real can recognize real. So she was so chic, to quote Dorit. So the palace is breathtaking, and Adriana was really in her element. She talked about her history of she talked about her experience of studying art history and architecture, and she was able to really just be in her element and talk about all of the ins and outs. She was literally their own personal tour guide because she knew so much about the architecture. And I just love seeing people, like, when they're passionate about something, like, come alive and like have that brightness in their eye and like really describe what's going on and really take the lead in things. And so I really like seeing Adriana in that element, being able to rely on her past studies. So we're back with the other group, and Alexia is seeking validation from the paint instructor. Like, this girl did not get enough hugs as a child. Like, it was literally, mommy, look at me. I drew a pit. Like, it was like, okay. And so Stephanie checks with Larsa if she wants Lisa to even be on the plane for their flight that's coming up, because the next day they're supposed to fly to Marbella, and it's a 22-minute flight. And the original plan was for everyone to take that flight because it's a short flight. Everyone was going to take Stephanie's private jet to go to Marbella. And now all of a sudden she's asking Larsa, like, oh, are you okay if Lisa even comes? Like, do you want her? Like, giving Larsa the power to actually say no. So Larsa says she's not comfortable with Lisa being on the plane. And then, like, I don't know if this was editing or if Julia was just being her weird self, but then Julia, like, awkwardly says, like, out of nowhere, like, it seemed really out of place. Then she just jumps in and she's like, oh, well, the reason why I want to go to Marbella is because I'm going to ask my friends to be godparents of the boys. And I don't know, like, a few things on this. Okay, yeah, they're your good friends and maybe you trust them to be your the boys' godparents. But A, they live out of the country. B, they look already kind of old. So they look like they're in your peer group. And wouldn't you ideally want someone younger to be there for the kids? I was like, all right. Like, so then, as they kind of go back to this like plane situation, and the women say that Julia needs to talk with Lisa, rather than disinviting her, like have a conversation with her. And Stephanie says, that the group gives too many chances and excuses for Lisa. And then she says she doesn't want to have to worry about Lisa making a scene on the plane. And in the confessional, Stephanie says, she doesn't want to deal with Lisa coming late and not having her etiquette in order. And I'm just like, you knew who Lisa was before you invited everyone. So if that was really your problem, then you shouldn't have offered the plane to the group. It's tacky to offer the plane to the group and then disinvite someone and to alienate someone. And it's it was so much like drama over this plane over a 22-minute flight, and in some ways it's kind of like, oh, we're back to like petty housewives and like the aspirational lifestyle, but then also it's like, why are we watching 20 minutes of like back and forth of a plane for a 20-minute flight? I was like, ugh, like Stephanie was doing a little too much in this episode. So then Larsa, she's grasping at straws and trying to find reasons why Lisa shouldn't be on this plane. And she's like, oh, I don't want to deal with her like taking notes, and she was never like this before. And Marisol says that Lisa is thinking now. I don't even know if she meant the shade, but it came off so shady. She was like, yeah, like, her wheels are starting to turn. She's thinking more now. And that's kind of like making her like see things differently and want to write them down and do all that. But they all agree that they don't want to be in a position where they say something and it's used against them because Lisa was like taking copious notes. And I'm like, well, don't be an asshole then, and don't say asshole things, and don't say things that you would get sued for. Like, try telling the truth, then you can't get sued. Back with the other group, Lisa says that she's crumbling. I'm like, oh girl, every day it's a new issue. And things have been hard on the kids. Kiki says it's not okay that Jody texted Larsa, and Lisa says that Larsa started the conversation. Gertie says that Lisa is still following Marcus, and that is what escalated things. So Adriana weighs in and says that she understands that Lisa is not unfollowing Marcus just because of the way Larsa kind of demanded her to, but at the same time, it's giving Larsa the power to turn others against her. I said, bingo. Like, Adriana, I have been rocking with her so much this season and even this episode, until the end of this episode. That all went out the window, and y'all know why. And if you don't know why, stick around. Just hearing Adriana's perspective on it, I think that finally like was able to change Lisa's mind. So Lisa unfollows Marcus. So the ladies are back at the hotel, and Julia and Marisol meet with Lisa. Lisa says that she's going to be on her best behavior on the plane ride, and Marisol mentions that the note-taking has everyone on high alert. Lisa says she only takes notes with Larsa because she twists things, and Marisol suggests to Lisa that she puts her phone away for the trip. Lisa says she needs it for her kids, and Marisol asks why Jody or Lenny can't help out while she's away. And Lisa says, no, it's all on me. And then Marisol points out that it's strange that like Lisa's partner can't help her with the kids. And then that's when Lisa kind of just like bows out from the conversation. And she was like, you know what? Like, if I'm not wanted, like, I'm not even going to go to dinner tonight. And she walks away. So the ladies gather for dinner, and shocker, Lisa is running behind. So she changed her mind and decided to go, but she ended up coming very late. So at the dinner, Adriana shares that Lisa unfollowed Marcus, and Larsa says, they are so far beyond that point now. Unfollowing him is now the bare minimum. Gertie points out to Adriana that they had made an agreement to not share with Larsa. I think they wanted Larsa to find out on her own. And so, we see a flashback of them all agreeing. And for whatever reason, Adriana just wasn't listening, or she forgot, but she was part of that agreement. Lisa arrives. She's looking great, but she's an hour late. Larsa says she's 2 hours late. I'm like, oh, girl. These housewives, they love an embellishment. So Kiki tells Lisa that Adriana told everyone about her unfollowing Marcus. And Adriana tells Kiki to stop being so ratchet. Excuse me? Kiki tells her that's effed up, and Adriana is the most ratchet one of the group. I said, no lies told. So then we see the ladies making excuses. Oh, that's not what she meant. She really meant this. She used a poor choice of words. And I'm like, listen, we know how smart Adriana is. This woman speaks 4 or 5 languages. She's taking classes at Harvard right now. We have seen, they literally label her in her confessionals. What is it? Resident expert on everything, because she knows so much. She is very smart. So you can't tell me someone as eloquent and experienced and cultured as Adriana, you can't tell me that she says things unintentionally. You can't tell me that. Those two things don't match. I'm so sick of this group making excuses for like racist behavior and prejudiced behavior. They can't see beyond like their own bias. Because why was the first thing out of your mouth to the black woman, one of the 2 black people at that table, oh, you're so ratchet? Just because she called you out on something you did that was true? That's ratchet? Okay. You lost me, Adriana. You lost me. I was rocking with you heavy. No. Done. So, so Gertie says, that's not nice. That's not right that you called her that. And, it was kind of like, it was a little weak, but honestly, it was just enough for someone like Kiki, because Kiki never stood up for Gertie when Julia threw the water on her. And Kiki's been throwing her under the bus the whole season. So, even though it was kind of like a weak, oh no, don't do that, that's appropriate for someone like Kiki, because you're lucky you got that out of her, because at this time, she doesn't know all the other things that you have been saying behind her back and stirring the pot and throwing her under the bus. So, in normal circumstances, I would have said, Gertie, I wish you did more. Not in this case, because Kiki, that's what you get. You wanted to throw her under the bus to cozy up next to them, and now you see how they treat you. You played yourself. Okay. Kiki says to Adriana, like, you're too old to even speak to me like that. Like, you're too old to be acting like this. And then now the table is outraged. Now it's, that's a low blow. Oh, why would you say that? But it was fine for Adriana to throw microaggressions at Kiki, but it's not fine for Kiki to call her old when Adriana is the same age or older than Kiki's mother. The outrage, I can't, with the selective outrage, it's giving Housewives of Orange County. That's what it's giving. Y'all want to pick and choose what you're mad at with when you grasp your pearls, when you clutch your pearls, what's right, what's wrong, who's right, who's wrong, instead of just standing on business and knowing right from wrong, no matter who is doing the act. You guys are just so biased when it comes to like your friends or your kinfolk, let's say. So when Kiki calls her old, here goes Adriana, oh, that's ageism. I would have been like, yeah, ageism, I'll see your racism and I'll raise you some ageism. Like, what do you can't be the victim and the villain at the same time. You hurled a microaggression at me, and guess what? Now I'm going to come at you. And you look great for your age, but you're older. What's the problem? So here she goes trying to play victim. Oh, that's ageist. That's ageism, blah, blah, blah. And, Larsa says the group just needs to remember that they're all friends. So Lisa apologizes to the group for coming late, and she clarifies the note-taking. She basically says she's constantly taking notes because her lawyers encourage it. And Adriana interrupts Lisa, and she starts to say, like, I need to go babysit Lisa's kids because that's what old people do. And her and Adriana and Kiki start going back and forth. So, like, the women try to, like, quiet it down, and then Adriana, she had her little outburst, and she started up again with Kiki. So they go back and forth, and here goes Adriana. No, you owe me respect. Girl, you called me ratchet. I'll give you ratchet now, because what I was doing before wasn't. But if you want to go there, we can go there. Talking about respect what? You're a clown. Then Stephanie leaves, and she's saying, this is the 3rd dinner in a row that they've ruined. Larsa goes with her. Adriana also leaves. Marisol and Alexia leave. They're embarrassed. Stephanie's crying in the car. I'm like, oh girl, you're not cut out for this. You're not about this life. Because I don't know why you're so confused why there's conflict at dinner parties when that's literally how I would describe housewives. Conflict at dinner parties. So back at the hotel, Stephanie tells some of the girls, she doesn't want to take some of the girls on a jet and leave some. I was just like, oh, here we go with this jet talk again. Like, my God. Marisol, wants to throw in her little 2 cents of microaggressions because she said, Lisa's tone was at least quiet last night, but Kiki and Adriana, like that was just disgusting. That was just so disgusting. And I'm like, disgusting? Come on. Like y'all do the absolute most. It was disgusting. I can name 10 more disgusting things that have happened on this show, most of which you have done. You're a grown woman running around talking about cocky, drinking day in and day out, making alcoholism your entire personality, and getting into an argument with a friend at dinner is disgusting. Do you see and hear yourself, Marisol? You're a joke as well. So then back to this jet conversation. Stephanie tries to draw like a seating chart and she's trying to get the women to have like input on like who to put where on the plane. I'm like, dear God, for a 22-minute flight. Like the trip's over by the time the women find their little station that they're assigned to. Oh my God. And Marisol, I did, and then Marisol, I did agree with you on this one thing because Marisol was basically like, "Is it that serious?" I was like, "Girl, ask your friend that." So, anyways, that was the end. Overall, entertaining episode. I was into it. I clearly wasn't feeling Adriana's comment. Adriana, you're on notice now. This franchise and OC. Ugh, I just it doesn't feel good because the microaggressions and um the fake outrage, the selective outrage on things, it's annoying and it takes away from the joy of petty arguments and who's following who and who said what. It turns into something more insidious that you know cuts in real life. But anyways, I want to hear from you. What did you think about this episode? Do you agree that Adriana and Kiki were disgusting at the table, or do you think Kiki rightfully checked Adriana? And like, what did you feel about all of this jet talk? Were you feeling it and saying that we're back to the aspirational housewives, or were you like, girl, enough? Like, I can't. I want to hear from you. Please comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the episode and some of the questions I asked. And remember to like and subscribe, share with a friend who is a fellow Bravo lover. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Mwah. Bye.